Bakugan Brawl! Hi everyone, it's Devil from Fortress of Solitude. Now as you could have probably guessed, today we're taking a look at the Bakugan game. Now for those of you who aren't familiar with the Bakugan franchise, basically it revolves around these kids that find these biomechanical monsters and then use them to battle against each other. They take these little balls, they chuck it at each other, and they then evolve into these biomechanical monsters, and then they duke it out to see who is the best brawler. Now, as with most of these creature fighting animated shows, there is a game, and today we're going to be taking a look at that game. It's called Bakugan Armored Alliance. Now, basically there is a pro and a basic version of this game, or way to play. I'm going to touch on the differences of what it takes to play the basic and what the differences are between the basic and the pro version, and then I'll give you some of my final thoughts on the game. So without further ado, let's take a look at Bakugan Armored Alliance, the game. Okay, so this is the Bakugan Battle Arena. Now something to take note of is that the Bakugan Battle Arena only comes with one Bakugan, one ability card, one character card, and two Baku cores. Now, if you want to play a game of Bakugan, and especially if you want to play a basic game of Bakugan, you will require three Bakugan, you and your opponent each, with the relevant character cards and Baku cores. And if you want to play the more advanced version, you will require ability cards as well. Now, these are all available in separate little packs so that you can pick and choose which Bakugan you want to buy, and then you get the ability cards in little blister packs. Now let's take a look at the Bakugan. Now you'll notice that what these Bakugan basically are, they are these little mechanical creatures that roll up into these little balls. Now I have to say that sometimes it's a bit fidgety getting them into these little shapes or little balls, transforms, but they basically form these little balls. You'll see that there's a little dragon one. They all have a surprising amount of detail on them for these for how small they are. But they all roll up in neat little balls. So how a game of Bakugan then works is that you and your opponent each have three Bakugan. Now, it is important to mention that you don't necessarily need the battle arena to play a game of Bakugan, but it does make it so much more immersive and so much more fun, and it basically gives you space to set up everything nice and neatly. You'll notice that your Bakugan has got these little slots where you can put them in, and your character cards have these little areas where you can basically put them on so they're easy to reach. And it even has the little grid where you can put your Baku cores called the hide matrix. Now, how does a game of Bakugan work? Now I'm going to quickly run through the basic version. For each of your Bakugan, you will have a character card. Now, on each character card, you will find the element that the Bakugan is associated with. That little symbol on top. The name of the Bakugan, which is the Pegatrix Ultra in this case, and you're only allowed one Ultra Bakugan in your set of three when you play a match. The relevant Baku cores that you require to play this character, its attack value, and then its B value, which is basically what you use to see who wins a round of Bakugan. There are also some Bakugan that have special abilities that activate at the bottom. Now, before you can actually start a game of Bakugan, you will need to have the relevant Baku cores handy. You'll see that the Pegatrix Ultra requires two shield Baku cores, and then you and your opponent each get your Baku cores ready along with your character cards. You then flip your character cards over. Oops, let me just grab that. Flip your character cards over so your opponent can't see your character cards, and you then basically start placing the Baku cores on the play area. So you'll notice that you're not allowed to roll your Bakugan to be further away from or closer to the hide matrix than two cards. So basically you'll need to keep a distance when building the hide matrix, but you and your opponent will each be placing one of these little Baku cores. Take turns placing yours until you basically have placed all of them. So it's going to be 12 of these basically, but you continue placing until you've placed all of them. And then you take turns rolling or deploying your Bakugan. Now, deploying it is easy. You just roll it, and once it hits one of the Baku cores, it deploys. Your opponent does the same. Whoops. Oh, sometimes they don't deploy, and we'll get to that. Yeah, there we go. And it deploys. And you each take your Bakugan with the Baku core that it has stuck to it. Now, you then take your character card, you flip it over, and you have a look at the actual B value. Now the Pegatrix Ultra has got a B value of 500, and this Bakugan gives him 550 extra, so that's 1050 B value. Then your opponent takes a look at theirs. Their Bakugan is Trox Ultra, and that has a B value of 700 plus a 300, and that gives you a total of 1000, which means that Pegatrix Ultra wins because it has 1050. Now you continue deploying your Bakugan until one player has won 3 times, and that player is then declared the winner. Now there are 3 things that could happen in a game of Bakugan. A basic game of Bakugan is that either both Bakugan deploy, in which case you take a look at the B value on the card, and basically at the Baku cores, and you work out the B value and see who wins. If yours deploys or your opponent's deploys and the other one does not deploy, you win automatically. And if none of them deploy, you then take that turn over. Now this is how the basic game of Bakugan works, and it's quite easy and it's lots of fun. The more advanced version basically includes ability cards, which you can use energy on to play, and this will then affect your B value and your attack value, and it's got all these kinds of abilities that you can then play with these cards. It makes it a lot more interesting, a lot more involved, but it is a bit more complicated. You even get little add-ons for your Bakugan called Bakugan Gear add-ons. Now these also affect the B value of your Bakugan. You'll see this is an example of one of them. When you put them on your Bakugan, it deploys. You'll see that your Bakugan all have little slots on top where you can slot in these Bakugan weapons, and these then affect your B value and attack, and then can help you defeat your opponent. Now that is basically how Bakugan, basic version of Bakugan plays out, and the differences between the basic and the advanced version. So that is how a basic game of Bakugan works, and how the Bakugan Battle Arena looks and basically plays. So what are my thoughts firstly on the Bakugan Battle Arena? Now, to be honest, it helps make the experience so much more immersive. The fact that the cardboard stock that the battle arena is made of is such a nice thick stock means that it'll last a long time. The little barriers on the side help keep your Bakugan from rolling away. When you get too eager to deploy your Bakugan, you might just chuck it a little bit too hard. It's nice that you have the grid so you can neatly place out your Baku cores. I also absolutely love the little dents where you can place your Bakugan so they don't roll away. So overall, as part of the immersive experience of Bakugan, getting the Battle Arena is a really must-have if you want to make your Bakugan experience a lot more immersive. Now, as for the Bakugan game, I have to say that I've actually fallen in love with it. I have to admit that before receiving this full review, I wasn't aware about the Bakugan game. I know about the show and I watched a few episodes, but I wasn't aware that there was a game out there. Now, I know this is the newest iteration of the game. There is an older one out there, and I absolutely love this. My kids, I taught them it really quickly. They grasped the concept really quickly, and we just got to playing it immediately. They absolutely loved it. We will be playing it a lot more, and there's just something special about seeing your Bakugan deploy. It just makes the whole experience so much more immersive. It makes you feel like a Bakugan brawler. And I've actually become interested in finding out more about the more advanced version, and I'm thinking of starting to build my own Bakugan card deck to play the more advanced version of Bakugan. So if you're looking for a really immersive little collectible battling game where you use cards and these interactive little monsters, then Bakugan is a game you should give a try. And if you want to make your experience even more immersive, then you should get the Bakugan Battle Arena. Now, if you want to find out more about my review on Bakugan the game as well as the Battle Arena, then please go and visit Fortress of Solitude. But for now, I'm the Willow signing off. Thank you for watching. Bakugan Brawl!